It's August 4th, 2020. As you can see, we're ready to go masked up to try to have some activities during the pandemic. We're actually staying at the Newmar Service Center facility. We're having our rig worked on, and to get more work done than the average bear, we decided to stay in a hotel for 2 days so that they didn't have to take our rig back and forth and back. And oh my God, has that worked fantastic. They've gotten so many things done that I'm literally adding things on as they go along, and more importantly, as they find things. For instance, like my air conditioner, I had an air conditioning just a check, where they check to make sure it's clean on the inside and to check the amperage draw of it. They found out that the last two that were installed wrong, and there was a major giant gasketing inside that was totally missing, so that my air conditioner was always mixing my return air with my cool air. So it was like just a menagerie of air. So it's going to be interesting to see how much better both of those. We're going to be going right now to the Auto and Truck Museum because we actually just got done with this awesome museum that is the Auburn, Cord, and Duesenberg Museum. I can't impress upon you on how impressive this museum is. We've been going to automotive museums and aircraft museums and things for 3 years. This was so clean, not crowded, well lit, really cool looking stuff. You can tell it was all stuff in working order, nothing just haphazard. So we'll see how the truck museum works. Why don't you come along with me?
So how long did it take for us to get here from Nappanee?
It took about an hour and 10 minutes maybe, something like that. And for a normal person, probably would take an hour, but I'm kind of slow.
Oh, no way. Yeah. No way. So we just came from the, what is it?
It's the Cord, Auburn, and Duesenberg Museum.
All right, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The cool thing about going to places like that is I tend to transport myself back in time and imagine myself during that time when all these cars were being designed and watching them go up and down the street. So now we're going to, and we were in there, what? Like 3 hours maybe?
Yeah, easy. And we were rushing through it, honestly.
Yeah. So now we're going to see the National Auto and Truck Museum. And Mark said, are you excited? It's like, okay, it's 3 hours of old cars, which were really fascinating. So ask me that question again when we're done.
Well, I think
tomorrow is a botanical garden, I hope. Once you leave the gift shop and enter the museum, you come into this room that is filled with the largest collection of scale model cars, trucks, and equipment and memorabilia. There's over 4,000 die-cast models. They are simply amazing. All kinds of different models.
Amazing. I'm going to go look at the big ones so I can see them, but these are too small.
These are too small,
I can't see them anymore.
Let's see. You need your glasses to see them.
Yeah.
Jeez, look at this collection. What are these Hot Wheels?
Really a clever design here. This is called a cutaway. So basically they pretend that they just saw away, kind of like looking inside of a human body, except this is a Model A. So the radiator, the fins, they slice through a little bit of this gear that's picking up its power from the engine. That is running some of the shafting, or might actually be vice versa here. But
this is cool.
Yeah, you can see the cylinders are breathing through this tube here, getting the oxygen from up here. Here's, I guess, the carburetor. You can look at the control. Look at how rudimentary this is. This rod goes all the way up into the cab. of the vehicle, some a cut through of the exhaust. Look at here, you got the pistons sticking out the top, the valves, the coil for the spark ignition. Really cool. I mean, somebody really invested a lot of time. If you look at this part, shows you what the inside of the tube looks like.
Hang on.
Yeah. Shows you the fill valve. You put air in your tire, it goes inside the tube, fills the tube up, uses all the space up inside your tire.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it even with the light.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They wimped out a little bit. They didn't saw through the light bulb.
Oh,
But,
jeez. The horn.
yeah. But even here, you know, they show you that this tube is just not a tube. It's got the shafts for the levers and all of the sorts of stuff here.
Wow, well done.
Really well done. All right, ready. I'm ready, Hank.
You can do it.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Sit. If this thing starts, I'm going to be mad.
Wow.
Crank it slower.
No, that's fine. Very cool. Everything moving.
All right, I ran out of horsepower.
Oh my gosh. How's it going today? Got a lot of work happening? How about your buddy? He looks a little mad.
You know,
He's got nothing to say, Mark. Typical guy. Come on,
typical
speak
guy,
up.
but look at this. He's drinking a Mountain Dew. I don't think so.
What, not during that era?
Yeah.
Wrong bottle?
Yep. Wrong
It's
bottle.
plastic. Okay, not
Yeah.
quite as authentic. But this is where they did the surface back in the day.
Yeah.
Thinking of rebuilding it?
Well, trust me, there are plenty of cars in that showroom that might have started this way.
bad, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably not,
Not
because
this
they were
bad.
so valuable. But I'm sure there are. There are people that look at this and they don't see problems. They don't even see a challenge. They see fun and a lot of evenings and afternoons in their shop.
There you go. This looks like the main area. It's actually open too. They've got a lot of the garage doors open. And there's Mark checking out the diner.
So this is the original 1948 Valentine diner, and apparently the cost of the diner new was $3,000 and about $2,000 for the fixtures. So for $5,000 you could have this thing shipped and set up shop. I didn't remember this as a franchise, but then again I was still waiting to be born 4 years later. So,
You don't remember this?
no.
Mark.
But when you think about it, you've kind of seen buildings that look like this.
Yeah, pretty cool. The Valentine Diner is a small diner that was prefabricated and a mail order. It was produced in Kansas after the Great Depression, and once the interstate highway system was built in the late 50s, motorists took to the roads for longer journeys. So these prefabricated diners saw a boom in business because motorists needed to stop for a meal. So they used to have horse-drawn vehicles called kid hacks. They're like school buses, and this is actually called a school hack, which eventually was a school bus. Not many of them shown around, but they were able to get their hands on this beauty, which was really still intact. And they're assuming, they don't know much about it, but they're assuming that it was in storage because it is in such great shape. So how'd you like to ride on this bus on a nice bumpy road? What do you say, kids? All right, here's a taxi I have never seen before. 1, 2, 3, 4 doors, and room for your luggage. Wow.
This is the 1966 Oldsmobile Toronado. And they're talking about here on the different design features that were actually borrowed from the Cord, and that is the coffin kind of shape to it, the horizontal lines in the dash, these wings that are projecting forward, reaching forward, and even the flip-up lights. But you can imagine as a young lad, I don't even think I was driving yet, was I? In 66. So I'm 68.
You're only 14.
So I'm not driving yet, but I knew this car came out. And I wanted to see this car because it was the first production General Motors front-wheel drive car. And I knew it had a big engine in it. Has a 385 horsepower engine. So I was just drooling to see it in action. So what happens? The first time I see it, I'm walking down the road, and here, like from here to that red gas pump right there, car pulls up, and it's some impatient driver that all of a sudden decides it's time to tromp on it. He lights these babies up and burns out for like a half a block right in front of me. It was
my God.
one of the best things that ever happened to me in 1968. One thing I've noticed about Sue in my old age, she doesn't believe me when I tell her things as much as when I used to. For instance, everybody knows our Elux Malibu GT e-bikes are really fast. They actually go up to 28 miles an hour. And I told her that this was the prototype for it right here, and she doesn't believe me. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else believe him?
I don't know what's going wrong in our marriage, and she doesn't believe me when I tell her things anymore.
You left out a lot of parts. Boy, my youngest brother had a car like this when he was in high school. He painted it like this. He put the horn in like the Dukes of Hazzard. He put the number on it. He was the man in our town. Here's his car in 1981, and yes, we are from Wisconsin. And then we came across this car. This is the car my sister's husband had when we were in high school. So there are some things that are signs that you're actually getting old, like, you know, when your hair starts going gray or white, or when you look at people in their 20s and 30s and think they're in high school, or when you see things from your youth in museums. I mean, museums! Come on! Sheesh. It's a clown car. It's a little baby car. I tower over it. I think that's the one that the clowns use in the circus.
I thought this display in the truck museum was really interesting because it showed that for every income level and every expectation of your life, they had a cart that you could use as a pedal cart when you're growing up. So whether or not you want to be a fireman or a locomotive driver, you had something to look forward to. But if you wanted to be a baron of the finances, or if you just wanted to roar around and meet the girls in the neighborhood, you could have a vehicle that your parents could get you that would do that. And if you just plain wanted to be Mr. Luxurious and tow around your fun little boat that you could also sit in and ride in, got a little bit of everything in this display. Me, on the other hand, I started out in something like this that I basically had to make out of 2x4s. Sue and I always talk about the fact that we're really happy with our Dutch Star, and we wouldn't pick anything else. The Model 4369 2014 is perfect, with one exception. We both decided that if we could trade it in right now and get this RV, we'd like it better. And I think Sue would be able to drive it, no problem.
You think?
Yeah. And what's cool about it is it's got dual front tires as well as dual rear tires.
Wow.
Yeah.
They don't realize that.
The other thing, though, that I learned while being at this museum was that all these cool cars here that allowed you to really be cool, not one of them was ever a car that I had. So I'm wondering what that means.
Mark, you're still cool in my eyes.
This was probably the closest I came. I had something like this. Come over here. What I think.
Well, see, you are cool then.
What I think's funny about this is, you know, I was a young lad. I obviously went to engineering school, but I had certain problems. And one of the problems I had was when my steering would steer to a certain point, if I would hit a rut or something, this wheel would actually flop underneath here, and I would have a violent reaction.
Oh my gosh.
So I ended up putting some blocks on to prevent this from moving too much in that direction. And I find it kind of curious that this more engineered setup here that limited the front travel and the back travel was exactly what I came up with. But here's the real
Wow,
portion.
good job.
Is I remember vividly when I was little, and I'm talking little enough that I would build these to be pushed on, that I thought I was like the Leonardo da Vinci, because I figured out that if I had an axle that was in here rotating, that I could put a cable on it, and as I would rotate it one way, I would be pulling the cable in, but then the other way would be pushing the cable out, and then I put pulleys in there, and I attached it like this, and I literally invented that, and until I built it, I wasn't sure it's going to work. And now I see that's kind of like the way people that were like, I'm sure, way older than I was. So,
That's how they have it?
yeah, that's how they have it. So I'm really proud of myself. 68 years later, I'm patting myself on the back.
Oh my God. Good job, Marco.
Yeah, let's go downstairs quickly before we get kicked out.
Okay. Gallery, lower level. There's so much more.
The most iconic honor. This is where the first 29 Cord were made. The cars.
Down in the secret basement.
Wow. So it's the truck museum down here now.
It's like another RV.
Yeah.
Needs a little help.
Yeah. Well, this one's more affordable for me.
Ooh, needs a little work. Wow.
Well, until I looked in here, I didn't notice something, so now I'll be able to tell the viewers, but this apparently must have been a full model, not only to mock up, you know, how it looks and everything, but, and I mean, it's all miniaturized and to make sure you can get at things and fix them. But when I look at this and I see all these little, these are tubes. These aren't wires. And this must have been a wind tunnel model.
Oh.
And to test the aerodynamicness of it. Yeah. So I'll have to see if I see a sign if I'm picking up on that right.
Now that's a manly truck. Good God.
Check this out.
Mark, you look like a little boy next to this one.
Wow. I'll stand next to it in a second, but this vehicle was designed and built in Fort Wayne to study the possibility of producing a medium-duty truck for trailer towing and other relatively light duties.
Huh.
So you can't tell me this wouldn't have been awesome for a fifth wheel. It's the only model of its kind. It had a V8 diesel engine. So it was, you know, nice kind of miniaturized truck feel to get in here. really roomy back here. But look at how tall this is. I mean, I'm 6'4".
6'4". Come on. So it's
6'2".
6'8". So it's smaller than a 5'8". Yeah. So it's smaller than a semi, but definitely bigger than a pickup. Wow.
Look at the tailgate. Look at how.
The tailgate. Maybe you're 4'8".
Wow.
That is huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
2005.
226 miles per hour.
4,000 horsepower.
Wow. Look at the design. It's got to be a big part of it. Wow.
It is amazing when you look at the money that was invested in this, that one day it just ends up sitting in here. It's like, we're done with it.
Mark has been saying wow a lot when we got
Oh my
into this
God.
museum. Oh,
The Chairman wants one of these.
what would you do with that?
I'd start saving for the rest of the RV.
Good point.
Wow. These things are so beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
You don't want to even start them up and use them. You
Put
just
them
want
on
to.
display like they are.
You just want to like. I love my diesel engine.
All right, how do we get out of here? It's like we got 2 minutes to get out of here.
Oh, we got 6 minutes. Where's the stair? Right there.
Okay, we're lost. We're gonna get locked in the museum. All right, here we go. You're gonna get yelled at for not getting out of here on time.
I'm used to getting yelled at by my wife.
That's a lie. All right, here we go.
She just yelled at me.
I did. I yelled at him. And here we are.